Live at our new time, Wednesday mornings, it is the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show, the first episode of September. Down the stretch we come, and it's not going well. You know, in a horse race act, you hear down the stretch they come, and there's some teams coming from the back, and there's some teams that are at the front trying to hold on. There's teams in the front trying to slide. The Guardians have just been basically in the middle the whole time, and maybe they're sliding back a little, but they're not doing much of anything. In fact, they're going in the wrong direction right now. This stretch is not going to be a good one for the Guardians.
Yeah, I would say like down the stretch they come, but the Mariners are like their horse is limping. The Guardians horse tipped over and they're about to send him to the glue factory.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean like the Royals horse is missing a leg, but somehow it's still like hopping along in there. Yeah. So it's not, this is not the Kentucky Derby by any means.
No, and here come the Rangers, maybe. Here come the Rays? I don't think so, but this is the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. All right, well, not where we wanted to be in our first show of September, but it is where we are. 68-69 is the record. The Guardians have dropped 3 in a row. They've lost 12 of 16, I believe it is, or 12 of 17, or 13 of 17. It's bad, whatever it is. The Guardians, who, after playing well, remember, had closed to within a half game of the Yankees for the wild card at one point. They had closed to within, I believe, 6 of the Tigers for first place in the division. The Yankees are not the last wild card anymore. It is the Mariners who are not playing well. But even so, the Guardians are 4 behind them. Plus, they're behind the red-hot Rangers, even though they lost yesterday, the Royals, and even the Rays, who have been hot, winners of 5 in a row. In the American League Central, forget about it. The Guardians are 10.5 out there. Yeah, I mean, listen, the final month of this season, Zach, is about, I guess, learning things for next year, because while I guess crazier things have happened, I would say the Guardians have less than a 5% chance to make the playoffs. 1%. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've come to terms with it too.
Yeah.
I mean, Joey Cantillo is going to start today at Fenway Park, and they're going to go with a 6-man rotation. They don't have to do that.
Nope.
They want to give guys some rest as, you know, some of these young pitchers come up on career highs and innings and things like that. So you see what they're prioritizing, right? You know, they've been so streaky all year. I mean, honestly, like, it's been a tough team to cover, a tough team to even talk about, because for the first half of the season, you know, they got to 40 and 38, and they were just, they'd win 2, they'd lose 2, they'd win 2, they'd lose 2. It was just like very rocky, and it was like just little bumps, like a roller coaster for your 4-year-old.
Right.
And then ever since then, the second half of the season, I mean, it's been, they lose 10 in a row, then they're the hottest team in the American League for a month, and then they lose 9 of 10, and then they win 4 in a row, and then they lose these 2 here, or the last 3. They're just so streaky. And so it's I think for fans, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were like, can you just put us out of our misery already? Stop keeping me on the hook and winning a few in a row right when I think that you're completely done. Maybe this is that. You know, if the Mariners would win a couple games here, then it would be different. But there's still only 4 games out. But I the reality here is, like, September is going to be about George Valera. It's going to be about CJ Kafis. It's going to be about Kyle Manzardo. It's going to be about Parker Messick. You know, it's a shame. In a perfect world, if you're at this point, it would have been about Juan Brito and Chase DeLauder and Travis Bazzana. And it would have been a really, really intriguing September to set you up for 2026. But those guys spent a lot of the year hurt. So we're left with what we've got. And I don't know. I mean, Bill, I don't know about you. Like, to be totally transparent, it's, what are they, 68 and 69 now? And it's September 3rd. And I've got the countdown of what, 24, 34 hours till a new NFL season starts.
Yeah.
And it's it's hard. It's hard to be invested in them. And it's, you know, they did it to themselves. Like they had a great week last week. They took 2 series against the Rays and the Mariners. But because they dug themselves so big of a hole, it wasn't good enough. And so you just left yourself with no margin for error, and
Yeah,
it's pretty much over.
To me, when they lost that final game of the Mariner series, that was the death blow, because even though they won the series, they needed to sweep. If they put themselves in a position where they had to sweep the Mariners. They didn't. They've lost every 3 games in a row since. Yesterday was a game like, you score, you have the big 6-run inning, you're up 7-5 against Boston.
Yeah, did you have that on your bingo card?
Yeah, right.
Did you have that bet on FanDuel?
Yeah, no. Of the Guardians scoring 7 and losing?
Of Hedges, Rocchio, and
yeah.
Fry all hitting ones over the monster off Garrett Crochet in the same inning?
I did not have that, no. The Guardians have had some weird performances against really good pitchers this year, like where they've hit. It's not the first time. Oh, look, and Crochet did not pitch well his last time out either. So he's had 2 bad starts in a row. But listen, everything about this season is bizarre. You're right. I mean, there's a reason we have less people watching the show right now. Like usually 5 minutes in, we have 6, 7, 8, maybe 10, 15 times, depending on what's been going on, the amount of viewers that we have live at the moment right now. And obviously, at some point, we'll turn the page and start looking ahead. But I think everybody kind of just wants the season to be over. And so you could start thinking about next year and maybe trying to figure out, can this team be competitive next year? I think there's so many alarming things about this team right now, but one of the most alarming to me is that even the starting pitchers outside of Gavin Williams are all in the wrong direction right now.
Yeah.
Tanner Bybee has had a miserable season. Slade Ciccone got off to a rough start, and he pitched really well for, I don't know, a month or two. And he's been terrible. I mean, yesterday, everybody either struck out or got a hit. It was a weird game. So he's a young pitcher. I'm certainly not writing him off, but I'm not feeling good about where he is right now. Logan Allen is what he is. He's a back of the rotation starter. There are moments where you kind of hope maybe he can be better than that, but the reality is he's not. And so even, Luis Ortiz, I don't know if he's ever going to play again. So what am I hanging my, like, Canseco's nice, he's fine, but again, back of the rotation guy at best. I just don't feel good about any of the pitching, the starting pitching. Cade Smith, I know it's been a weird season, but he's, taking a huge step backwards. So is Gaddis. Like, the one reliable thing about this team, the pitching staff generally, I don't feel good about anybody right now outside of Gavin Williams.
Yeah, I mean, we could do this today. We could do this all winter, but just because the 2 questions I want to ask are like, what were the success stories of 2025?
Yeah.
What are they going to hang their hat on? And to me, I think he needs to have a strong finish, but then it would be Gavin Williams asserting himself as a frontline starting pitcher. It would be Kyle Manzardo, who has proven he can be a middle of the order hitter. And that might be it. Nick Enright and Eric Sabrowski have had nice seasons, but rookies or relievers are so volatile year after year that I don't want to put too much stock into that. They've done well. Like, I'm penciling them into next year's bullpen, but yeah, I mean, this is the issue here. And you can't even look in the minors and be like, well, Bazana's been really pushing the door down, or you got the Lauder, coming on opening day, and it's like, no, there are question marks there with all those guys. So then I'm looking ahead and I'm saying, can this team contend next year? And my involuntary reaction is to say yes, because they usually do.
Right.
But then I'm thinking, well, what are the steps to getting there? And it feels like there are a ton, right? Like they have so few spots on the roster settled. And that's why September is important to me. It's like, well, how big would it be if Rocchio can finish strong? How big would it be if, can you get anything from Bo Naylor? Or even someone like David Fry, like, to go into the offseason having a good close to the year after just a miserable season, knowing he could be part of your catching tandem next year. There's a lot of people who fall under this where, like, September's pretty important. as the team tries to figure out what the hell they're going to do to get back on track here.
So many things to unpack of what you said. Yes, I mean, obviously Jose, has had a good season as he always has. Not an amazing season. He's got nothing around him, so like, it's hard to believe they don't have a player with 70 RBIs. But that's a product of the team around him. Kyle Manzardo is going to become one more home run. He becomes the fourth Guardians player in this decade to hit 25 or more home runs, with Jose Naylor and Franmil Reyes, of course.
He'd be the I think the 9th player in franchise history with a season of, I think I said it, 28. I think if he gets to 28 home runs, only 9 players in team history have had 28 home runs in a season at his age.
Yeah.
So it's really good company.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Ramirez is there. And then Manzardo and Williams, I'm feeling good about. I just don't. What else? Quan this is the worst I've ever seen him play.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, one, should you have traded him? Or 2, does it make it easier to sign him? Or 3, do you want to sign him? Or 4, does he maybe not want to sign because he wants to rebuild his value? Like, what a mess.
Doesn't it feel like the Guardians are so snake bit? I don't know. Like, it's outside of Manzardo, it just feels like everybody with any promise, they just can't show any consistency. Like, you get a couple of good weeks from guys here and there, and the league average OPS, I believe, is 712. I think it is somewhere around there. May have changed in the last week or two. The Guardians have 2 players better than 712: Ramirez and Manzardo. I mean, that's it. Quan's the only other one. Daniel Schneemann is 4th on the team with a 677 OPS. That's bad.
Yeah. I mean, but this is who. Did anyone come into the season looking at the lineup and being like, "Oh, this is going to be good"? No, we all saw this coming, and that's why I just don't understand. I mean, how many times has this podcast this year just gone back to the off season and the approach, and it's like, this was predictable.
Yeah. I think we're, as you said before, you were like, well, yeah, my natural reaction is to think they can be contenders next year because they always seem to be, at the very least, every other year. So there's a part of me like, well, all right, this was the bad year. Next year will be the good year. I just think I just don't think, and again, they could surprise us next year, and who knows? I don't, unless they make significant moves this offseason, I just don't see how they can be contenders.
So I'm with you. Yeah. And that it's usually you can talk yourself into it, and you can convince yourself that more will go right than wrong. I don't know, because I know how they operate. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, they're probably just going to pencil in DeLauder as their right fielder. But like, that guy is going to get injured. This is a team that they don't go above and beyond. Like, you should have so much depth that DeLauder has to force his way in, right?
Right.
Even you're right. You listed the rotation, and it's like, I think Bybee will be better.
Probably.
That's not a guarantee.
No.
But even with him and Williams, it's like, is there anybody else who I'm ready to be excited about as a potential number 3, number 2? Not really. The lineup is full of guys who you say, hey, if this guy's hitting 9th, like, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
But they're hitting 2nd and 5th and 6th and 7th. Bo Naylor is batting 5th every night.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. Let me give you, I'm going to give you some of the guys in the Guardians lineup, and let's say whether we are done with them, like you give up any hope of them being anything, whether you like, okay, this guy's a bench player, part-time player, that's what he is, I'm whatever, or I still think this guy has a chance to be good. Let's start with Bo Naylor.
The middle option. And here's where I'm at.
Okay.
It's not even about him, honestly. I'm done. That guy was cruel for hitting so well for the last 6 weeks of 2023 because it planted in my head, and I think a lot of people's heads, that this guy could be an all-around great catcher. I actually like what he's done defensively. He's been throwing out runners at a great rate for the last few months. We were robbed of, I wanted to see him try to throw out his brother last week.
Yeah, right.
But I think the key to me is if David Fry can hit like he did last season, and that's a huge if. I don't know.
Huge.
Then I like that tandem next year. You know, Bo's the better defender. Fry's the better hitter. Fry's, you know, can he hit some righties sometimes? Like catcher, I just think they're stuck there. You know, Cooper Ingles at AAA, and eventually he joins this conversation. I don't think you're like dramatically changing that. So I choose the middle option. Do I ever think that Bo Naylor is going to be a guy with a 750 OPS? No. But I think because he's not going to play every single day anyway, and in the right pairing, and that pairing is not Austin Hedges, you can make it work. You can live with it.
I agree with you. I'm fine with him in like that part-time type of role. I've given up on any hope that he's going to be like a really good hitting catcher. His career, I know, batting average is not looked highly upon these days, but his batting average for his career now is under 200. I mean, that's pretty extreme bad. His OPS is terrible. I mean, you want to say he has some power? Is that real power? I mean, he has 1,000 major league plate appearances, and he has 35 home runs, 40 home runs. I mean, I can't get excited about that. I put out a tweet about David Fry recently. His numbers, he was great in April and May last year.
Yeah.
If you look since June of last year, he's been awful. Yeah, he's
sure. Do you know he tore his elbow though in June?
Yeah, I hear you. But what about this year?
No, that's what I mean. That's why I think September is just pivotal for him because they need. You can't, if they go into next season with Naylor and Hedges again, then you better have signed 6 all-stars.
Yeah. All right. How you feeling about Brian Rocchio right now?
So here's what's unfair. Here's what we do. Whether you're a fan, you're a media member, here's what we do. It's the backup quarterback syndrome, right? So there's the guy that let's say there's a guy with hype, and you watch this guy with hype play, and he just doesn't cut it. And while he's playing, and you've seen enough of him, you're clamoring for the guy you haven't seen yet. And that guy's got hype then. So then that guy comes up, and he doesn't cut it, and you move on to the next guy who you haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I think there's some of that here where I can't say that he's better than Arias. They've both made some incredible plays defensively over the last couple months. Love what they do on defense. But hitting, when you look at the big picture, they both look like neither is good enough major league hitter, right? So I feel like because I've seen less of Rocchio than Arias, I'm pretty tired of Arias, and I'm pretty much out on him. So I just don't think he'll ever put it together at the plate. But because I've seen less of Rocchio, it's almost like I want to see more of Rocchio, even though what I have seen hasn't been good enough. So it's another one of those guys like Bo Naylor, where I'm like, if he's your shortstop and he's hitting 9th, that's great.
Right. Yeah. But he's not. But so Gabriel Arias he only has about 170, I think, more plate appearances than Rocchio, which in my mind, I thought he's played a lot more, but and obviously he has played more, and he was around the year before, but it's not a crazy amount difference in the plate appearances. But I'm still with you. I'm done with Arias. I'm completely done with him. To me, he's a bench, he's a bench player. He's not a starter.
The offensive profile. It's all or nothing, and there's not enough all.
Right.
And we haven't seen.
Yeah.
We've seen him. I know maybe he doesn't have 500 more at bats than Rocchio, but we've seen him since 22, I think.
Yeah. 22.
Yeah, and he looks like the same hitter he did then.
Yeah, he looks no different. I'm completely done with him as anything more than a bench player at best. I I'm willing to be open minded to one more opportunity for Rocchio next year. I don't have a lot of faith. I haven't seen much that makes me believe he's a everyday player in the majors. At this point, I'd have to say I don't expect it. But I like with Arias, I think there's no chance that's ever happening. With Rocchio, I'm open to the possibility, even though I think it's unlikely. But by next year, now you're gonna, now they'll both be over 1,000 plate appearances. Same for Naylor at some point next year, assuming they don't make any significant changes. And that's so sad. Like this lineup is sad, and yet we just assume there's going to be no significant changes, or at least I just assume.
I don't know. I mean,
no reason to believe anything else.
I do wonder what the looming work stoppage, how that influences front office's decisions, and not just Cleveland's, but everybody's.
Yeah.
Are you willing to make a trade for someone with 2 years of control if you might lose one of those years of control to a lockout?
Right.
So there are questions on how that impacts things, but yeah, I mean, I would hope, because I think that the front office is smarter than you and me, that they would feel a sense of urgency and do things, but they're going to have to buck some trends that we've become accustomed to.
Yep. Nolan Jones.
Yeah, I almost want to say that it's critical that he doesn't have a good September so that they don't fall in love with it. I actually feel for the guy, because I think he wears it more than the average player would. I think he felt like last season was frustrating in Colorado, and he could chalk it up to injuries, because I'm not saying it's just because of convenience, but just like no one needed a fresh start more than that guy. And to come back to Cleveland, to get out of Colorado and have that fresh start, know that the Guardians wanted him back and he was healthy, and it's like it was all there for him, and it just didn't happen.
And he continued to get the opportunity the entire season, even though he didn't deserve it.
Yeah. So it's tough. Like I think it just doesn't make sense to me. And I almost wonder if he went somewhere with, if he went to the Rays or the Dodgers or the Brewers, one of these teams that seems to fix hitters. I mean, the Brewers acquired Andrew Vaughn, who was the 3rd overall pick in the draft and stunk for the White Sox for years. And then he goes to the Brewers and he's like God. And it happened.
All these guys, the Brewers have a bunch of hitters you never heard of.
Yeah.
They're all doing well.
And I just wonder, because you look at Nolan Jones and the guy is he was built in a lab, and he's got power and he's got speed and he's huge and he hits the ball really hard. And I just wonder, is there something mechanically where could a really, really good experienced hitting coach get this guy to get a swing that he's able to catch up to fastballs, and he's able to, I don't know, just lift the ball better. I don't know, but that's not, I don't think that's going to happen in Cleveland. So I think
this is the biggest disappointment for me, because I loved this guy when he was in the minors. I was touting him for years. I wanted him up. I was pissed when they traded him away. I was excited when they traded back for him. I had lofty goals for him this year. I thought he was going to be really good. I thought he was going to hit 25, 30 homers, and I couldn't have been more wrong. He's been a huge bust. I mean, and he has more plate appearances than any of these other guys. He'll be over 1,200 major league plate appearances by the end of the season. It's hard to not think that 1 year in Colorado where he was great is the anomaly. I thought last year was just the injury, and we'll see. I mean, I kind of feel, I hate to keep saying the same thing as you, but I kind of feel the same way as you do. I feel like I'm not ready to give up on the guy's career, but I just don't think it's going to happen here. And that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, he's also at a position where, again, the backup quarter syndrome, next year, I'd rather see Valera or DeLauder.
Right.
Just because we haven't seen those guys yet. Yeah. So, Juan Brito could end up there occasionally too in right field. So that's not as much of a position in need. Shortstop, it is imperative that Brian Rocchio maybe asserts himself here
Right.
as a guy who can handle that and pair with Travis Pisana next season. But right field, that's at least one spot where they have other options.
Angel Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's another one who fits into if he's like a utility guy, that's fine. Like, he's been awesome against left-handed pitching and horrendous against right-handed pitching. And that stuff, especially for a switch hitter, like, doesn't necessarily track year to year. So that's part of it. He's so young that I don't know if that's going to be just who he is permanently, and you don't want to run away from him before he has a chance to prove whether he can hit right-handed pitching. But it's not like he's done enough to warrant those everyday at bats.
Yeah.
So they don't have anybody in center field. Like, Lane Thomas started a rehab assignment last night, and he's going to need to be in the minors. He's going to need to be in the minors for a couple weeks to build back up. By the time he gets back, they're going to have like 10 games left.
Yeah.
And, I don't know like what that can change with his outlook. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but like, that's it. They don't have a center fielder, and they don't have one in the pipeline. PD Halpin is at AAA, but like, I don't know that he's going to hit in the majors. So like, that's, when we look at next season, we're thinking about like all the steps they need to take to build a contending roster. Like, that's maybe the most glaring. And because of that, like I don't think Angel Martinez has had a good year. But he's probably going to have to be part of this next season.
Oh, this is depressing. I think I'm going to stop with this one. But
I'd love to talk about my fantasy football draft.
Yeah, let's do that in a minute. By the way, Martinez, so far in his first 2 years of his career, to back up what you were saying, he has 400 plate appearances going back to last year against right-handed pitching, and 180 against left-handed pitching. His OPS against righties is 557. That's beyond hideous. His OPS against lefties is 791. Yeah, no. 791. So, I mean, 791 is excellent against lefties.
Right, but you wish you could switch those, right? Because there are way more right-handed pitchers than left. And so if he's, again, like, it's someone who you're like, oh, like in a part-time, in a small role, I like this guy. You can't have a team full of people like that.
That's what they got. I mean, and they got guys who either stink or are good against, lefties only or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think Schneemann also, to me, he's a bench guy. I'm fine with him as a bench guy. But that's the problem, is like almost everybody we just talked about, they're bench guys. They have a team of bench guys. And I think Quan will bounce back. I don't know what whatever's going on with him. He's a starter in the majors. We know that. He's a good starter. He's not great. He's not going to hit for power. Jason keeps telling me, hey, power. He's not going to hit for power. Stop it. And Manzardo's a good player. I like what I've seen from Kafis, although obviously he's cooled off here. I want to see more. But you go in, as of now, they have 3 short thing starters. That's it. 3 guys who have earned the starting role. Left, third, and either first or DH, wherever you want to put Manzardo. Half of the first DH combo. That's it. There's nobody else that should have a sure spot in the starting lineup next year. And I can't imagine there's many the teams in that situation are like, they may have more, but like the Rockies may be like that. The White Sox, there's not many teams in that situation.
Well, if you look at like who they're grouped with on the offensive leaderboards, it's the White Sox and the Pirates.
Right.
Those are the 3 worst offensive teams in baseball, and that's just the worst company you can have, especially when you're coming off an ALCS season. Like that's what's insane about this.
Yeah. All right, hit me, Zach, with a little FanDuel action.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is we're in it here. I mean, summer sports are in full swing, I guess, but it's more we're looking at the fall here, and whether you're about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, high stakes soccer action, or all the football that's at our fingertips here, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. So you're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach or apple picking or pumpkin picking, whatever people do in the fall when they're not watching football. I mean, just think, we've got the NFL kicking off in less than 36 hours. What do we got? Eagles, Cowboys.
Yep.
Everyone wants to know how many tackles for loss Kenny Clark's going to have for the Cowboys, right? Now, what are they doing with that Micah Parsons trade? But anyway, you can, if maybe it makes you like the Packers to win the Super Bowl. Maybe you like the Cowboys to go under. You can do anything, right? So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started.
All right, Zach, good job out of you. By the way, do you know who leads with at least 300 at-bats? Who leads the Pirates in OPS? You want to take a guess?
I actually looked at one of their starting lineups
the
other night, and they had Jared Triolo leading off, and I remember.
By the way, he's been in my fantasy lineup for the last 2 weeks because he's been sizzling hot.
Okay, but that's not the answer here.
No, but Jared Triolo, no, is not the answer.
I just remember when we were there in April, and he was hitting fourth one day, and his OPS was like 420. But
OPS is actually up to 682.
Wow.
Yeah,
that'd be third on the Guardians. I have no idea. I mean, that lineup is just atrocious.
So they got Tommy Pham leading them at OPS at 736, McCutchen at 728, Spencer Horwitz at 717, Brian Reynolds 716, Nick Gonzalez 711, O'Neal Cruz 699, and Jared Triolo 682.
Some Guardians players were actually, they were analyzing Andres Jimenez's numbers in the clubhouse yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know if MLB Network was showing it's just like a highlight reel of some great relays and stuff. And I don't know if Jimenez was involved in one, and then maybe they pulled up his stats or something, and they were like, I'm trying to remember. I know who was in the conversation. Some of the guys were here when Jimenez had his awesome season in 22, and then maybe one or two of them weren't, and they were just reading off his WAR by year and his stats. And he had that. I think he had 7 WAR. And one of the players was like, "Yeah, he finished 6th in the MVP voting," and everyone was blown away by that. And they're like, "Well, yeah, he hit 290, he almost hit 300, and he had 15 home runs and." It's crazy because you just mentioned Spencer Horwitz, and I was thinking all 3 teams might lose that trade. It's bizarre. I mean, no one is prospering right now. Luis Ortiz might never pitch again, and Jimenez is still not producing at the plate, even if he's been good defensively, and he also missed a big chunk of the season. So
he did.
What a mess.
See, but on that team, because they got a good lineup, they could live with him as ninth because he's a great fielder. Because the rest they got guys that are producing,
and they spend money, so their payroll's high enough where they don't care about whatever his salary is going to be.
Yeah, they. Let me just bring this up here because look at their OPS leaders. So Springer's got a 946 OPS. Joey Loperfido, a one-time top prospect who's only had 81 at bats and is currently in the minors, had a 915 OPS. They got such a good lineup. He was red hot they sent him down to the minors. All right. Dalton Varsho, who's missed a good chunk of the season, has only played 50 games, healthy now, 879 OPS. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 865. Their backup catcher, Tyler Heineman, has an 849 OPS. Part-time starter, Davis Schneider, 836. Bo Bichette, 836. Ty France, who they just acquired at the trade deadline, 821. Alejandro Kirk, their starting catcher, 785. By the way, their 2 catchers, Heineman and Kirk, their batting averages, 313 and 297. Addison Barger has a 759 OPS. Nathan Lucas, 727. I mean, that's the whole team. Ernie Clement, 700. So everybody on that team that has at least, the only guys with at least 200 plate appearances that have an OPS under 700 are Miles Straw, whose OPS is 695, which for him is good. And
so where he would rank where on the Guardians?
I think he'd be fourth. I believe he'd be fourth, right behind Quan, Manzardo.
Just behind Quan, too.
Just behind Quan, right. And Andre Jimenez, his OPS is 619. So he's the only guy on their team with a terrible OPS that plays regularly. And you don't, like, obviously they're paying him a decent amount of money, but they got a big payroll. And for him, there's value. For them, he's valuable because he locks down defense. And okay, he's a weak spot in the lineup, but he bats ninth for them now. I know he's batting higher early, like in the beginning of the season when he was hot to start the year, and they had some guys hurt. But now their lineup's really strong. It sucks. It just sucks. All right, let's talk some fantasy football to wrap it up. We had the UCSS fantasy draft yesterday after some confusion with Mike Polk to start things. We got started a little late, but after that, it actually went very fast. It was like once we kind of got over the Mike Polk thing, because Mike was on auto draft. I was trying to help him, but it wasn't working. And then we just flew through the whole draft in like an hour after that.
Yeah, if it was going to go any longer, I was going to do the second half on my phone in the clubhouse and just have whatever players were walking by. I was just going to have them draft for me. But it went too quick.
Did you go down there and tell them about your team?
No, but that was, every draft, I think everybody feels like, oh, there were so many times where I was ready to take this guy and the person in front of me took. That didn't happen to me once. I always got the guy I wanted. It was bizarre. And I think, Yahoo agrees. They gave me an A+ for this draft.
That's not good, Zach. You don't want a good grade from Yahoo. First of all, the problem with those grades is it doesn't take into account that it's a 2-quarterback league.
Yeah, your zany rules. I mean,
every league I'm in has 2 quarterbacks, by the way.
It's not just the quarterbacks. It's also the point system is insane.
Well, we changed it this year. Earl was like, can we make it higher scoring? And I'm like, okay. So you basically get one point for every 5 rushing and receiving yards instead of 10. So that's why the projections are pretty high. But what was I going to say about that? That happened to me once. Believe it or not, Jason took Devontae. I had planned to go quarterback, and then I was going to take 2 top running backs, and then I thought I'd get my best wide receiver at 4, and I figured there'd be 1 or 2 guys left. And it came down to Devontae Adams was the last guy in this tier of top receivers I had. And Jason took him right before me. So because I think he's going to have a big year with one more big year. So anyway, I went the opposite direction. Instead of taking the ancient guy, I took Tet McMillan. So we go with the young guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to think so differently for your draft. I remember, so last year was my first year in the league.
Right. And you did well.
But I didn't take into account the second quarterback and how that changes your thinking. And I got lucky because I waited on a quarterback, and then late in the draft, I just took Jaden Daniels. And it was like, I didn't even know it at the time, but I had struck gold, right? So I went Lamar Jackson first here, and then I got lucky where I put off the second QB until late, but Justin Fields was still hanging around. So, I get his stat padding and his rushing total, and I like it, man. I know nobody wants to hear chatter about,
but you're excited about
some people's fantasy teams, but like, I feel like I have the best tight end in Brock Bowers. I really like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he could have like 130 catches this season. Kenneth Walker and Chuba Hubbard, which is,
I think Kenneth Walker is being undervalued right now because like the guy's been consistently good. He gets banged up a lot, so that's something you have to factor in. But
I put running back is what I put off.
Yeah,
and I was able to get those guys back to back, which I liked.
Yeah,
I think Calvin Ridley's gonna have a good year. I don't know. I got some guys on the bench who could break out. I like Ollie Gordon in Miami. I like the tight end for the Jets, Mason Taylor. I think could be a good sleeper. So I never care about defense either.
Yeah.
But I got to a point where I was just satisfied enough with my roster, and I think
I grabbed
Denver and Houston, and I think those are going to be the 2 best defenses. So
yeah, Well, we shall see.
I don't know.
All
When
right,
I'm like 12-0, we'll revisit this.
yeah, you're feeling good about it, and we'll see how it goes. Everybody, good luck in your fantasy drafts.
Did you like your team?
I do like my team. I like my core. I'm very high on Bryce Young this year. He's my sleeper guy, and so I ended up with Jaden Daniels and Bryce Young, which I really like that combo. I love my running backs. I think I got 2 top 6 running backs.
Who do you have?
I have Chase Brown and Devin A-Chain. Now, the only problem with A-Chain is there's some injury risk, but like I said, there's so many running backs that have injury risk. I love Chase Brown. I mean, he's a bell cow in that offense. I know they throw the ball a lot, but, he had – when he became the full-time guy last year, he was one of the top 3 fantasy players.
Well, our boy TA took him, I think it was 30-1 to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. So.
Oh, really? I could see that because he's their guy. I mean, they drafted a kid later in the draft. They brought Samaje Perine back, but he is going to be the bell cow on that team. There's no doubt. Anyway, all right. Thanks everybody for watching and listening today. We will be back next Wednesday. Maybe they make a run. Who the hell knows? Crazier things have happened. We'll be on every Wednesday through the Wednesday after the season. So join us here then. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show.